Okay, so I'm not really sure how to explain this, but I went to Iceland that was November. That's a really long time ago. And for some reason I thought that when I got back I could just like post about it every day until I was finished, and then I would be talking about it in December, which is totally legit for a trip that I just came back from in December, but it's June and I've only talked about like half the trip, but I'm really not done. So I think I'm gonna keep talking, and then when I'm old, if they still have the internet, I can look back on these to help me remember, and if you like them, that's good too. Okay, so I think the last thing I told you was that I was going to tell you about the hosteling story where Companion the Second almost disappeared. So we're talking about Donnie, who's A. Okay, so we get to the hostel, and it's a really little hostel in a really little town, and it's on the far edges of town, like away from everything. And it's super windy there, and the lobby is made completely of glass. Yeah, it's just like a house with a little glass lobby, and there's nobody there when we get there. It's just open. So we're hanging out in this lobby that's surrounded by darkness and is being shaken by the wind. And like across the way we see this house's lights turn on, and then somebody comes across, and it's kind of creepy because, I don't know, just because we're creeping each other out about the hostel anyways. Yeah, but it turns out just to be the person who runs the hostel. Okay, so she checks us in, and then we're just like, and she's really quiet, like kind of creepily so. Like if we made a movie and this were the beginning of the movie, she would be the crazy one who comes back and kills us all for taking advantage of Iceland's economic woes or something like that. Okay, so she's really quiet and creepy, if you're already thinking creepily, like we were. And she goes away, and then we're just like hanging out in the lobby. This little glass box of a room that's rattling in the wind, and I'm sitting with the space heater on my lap facing me because it's so freaking cold. And we're just like talking the whole, and they have all these old movies like from the 80s, and everything there just feels like nobody's been there for ages. And so the whole night we're just talking about how if it were a horror movie, like what would happen next, and like how I just like, and then these other hostelers come, and we don't know where they're from because they don't say anything. One of the guys I was with said they were from Australia, but I didn't actually hear them talking myself. And they were bald and had huge backpacks and buttload of tattoos, and they didn't say anything, so we were like, creepy silent types, they're gonna kill us as we sleep. Especially since I took the heater out of their room. Yeah. So we all had separate rooms there because it was just a house, and the bed in the room where I was staying had the same bedspread as I have in my dorm room. The same exact bedspread, which isn't that weird considering I got it from IKEA. But it was kind of creepy to walk in there and see that. It was creepy, yeah, so that's the moral of the story. If you're thinking creepily, it's creepy. Yeah, okay. And then before we go to bed, we arranged that we're going to leave at 9 in the morning. Yeah, we're going to leave at 9 in the morning to keep driving. And okay, so yeah, everyone goes to bed. We wake up. Yeah, okay, so I wake up, go down to the glass box room, and Eric, that's E, Eric's there, and it gets to be 9, and we haven't seen Donnie at all. And we go upstairs and look in his room, and he's not there. And yeah, so he's not in the room that he was assigned to him. And we like wander through the rest of the house yelling his name for a while, and nothing. We go outside, like in case he went hiking or something, and yell his name, and we get in the car and drive around the town and like check out the 2 restaurants, see if he's gone out there or something. He's not there, and we go to the beach just because we're driving past it. This is a really cool beach because it's got black sand, and it's got these like basalt pillars at the end of it, like coming off the cliff. Although I didn't really like the fact that whenever there was sand and like water in Iceland, it was called a beach, because beach makes me think of getting in the water or like wading or something, and it would have been so cold there. Like, we were standing there and I reached down to pick up a rock and it was stuck frozen in the sand, and even though I had gloves on, like, my fingertips were burning just from prying it out of the ground. So yeah, we went to the beach, and then we drove around a little bit more looking for him, and we came back to the hostel and sat in our glass box, and we were just thinking he must have wandered off. So we were just waiting and waiting, and like putzing around the internet, and I don't know. And we tell ourselves, we're just getting like really fed up that he's not to be found, and eventually we decide that if he doesn't show up by 12, then we're just gonna leave him a note telling him that we'll pick him up on our way back to Reykjavik, because we're gonna drive back through that town. And it gets to be like 11:45, and I'm like, you know what, let's just go. If he's not here by now, he's not gonna show up in 15 minutes. So let's just go, I'm tired of waiting. And he says, no, we said it's 12. So at 11:55, Donnie stumbles downstairs, like all crazy sleepy-eyed in his boxers, and I'm like, where are you? And it turns out he was sleeping in another bedroom for some reason, and he never heard us yelling, and so that was a story of how we almost left him, and made up stories about how he was killed by the axe murderer Australians. Yeah, I kind of wish I were better at telling stories. But yeah, then we drove, and we were talking about making him pay for all of our food, since he made us waste part of our day, which was kind of a big deal, because the days were so short at that time of the year, because, you know, we were road tripping to see, like, the landscape and stuff. You couldn't see it when it was dark, so not that much of the day was good for tripping. So that's kind of suckish, losing 3 hours. Yeah, so do you like my background? I feel like with this armchair and the bookcases, like I should be doing a library and story lady vlog, reading you a storybook maybe next time.